All right. So this is it, man. Doing a podcast. Let's do this.
All right,
So,
let's do the
hey,
thing.
everybody who's listening, who's maybe one person. If you're that one person, you know who you are, Jeff. Is it Jeff or Jeffrey? I'm not sure.
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey? No Y. Jefferson from Jeffville. Hey, anyway, this is our podcast. We're doing a podcast. Me and one of my best friends in the entire world, Ross, who's on the other end here. Say hello, Ross.
Hey there. Hey there, big guys.
Hey there, Big Cat, also known as Big
Hey
Cat.
there, big cat. Big
Rusty
cat.
Shackelford, funny walking gentleman, tall, has ankles
Guess
made
what
out of
happens.
glass,
That's true.
and that's
true.
very
Can't
true.
argue that.
Yeah. My name,
That's-
for Jeff. Jeff knows who we are, but we're still gonna say our names if we got any more listeners. My name's Jimmy, also known as James T. Buckets Irwin. What's the T stand for, Big Cat?
Buckets.
Buckets stands for buckets. So we got
Buckets.
buckets for days. But that's not true. When it comes down to buckets, I'm not that good of a shooter. They
No.
called me in school. They called my game tap water because my shooting would run hot and cold.
You're not,
And if
I've seen you play basketball. You're not the best. You're not the best.
and if we're in Europe, it's usually cold. By the way, here
You're not
I
the
know
best.
you got your drink going. You got your daddy drink going. Your daddy's juice.
I do. I got my daddy juice going
Here,
right now.
can-
That's
you-
what
can
I
you-
call it daddy juice.
Yeah, can we right here? Listen. Hopefully, I hear
I tried.
crack there,
Oh, there we go.
cracking her
You
open.
got a little daddy juice.
Fun fact: this is not alcohol. I'm drinking a Monster
Okay, well, that's...
because I'm a nerd.
all right. Yeah, well, you're a nerd.
So, for those of you who are just coming to this, obviously you are because this is our first ever podcast. This is Boo and Buck Podcast. We're mostly going to be talking about sports. ... I said mostly already, but I'm going to say mostly again because we tend to ramble. We tend to be sidetracked quite easily.
Yeah, we do. And so people that don't know, just FYI, obviously you're paying attention. You might know me and Jim, but if not, cool story. I don't give a shit. Boom for me, OU fan. I'm Boomer. Oklahoma Sooners. Jimmy, Buckeye, Buck, hence the name Boom and Buck. We will talk a lot of college football. What do you say, Jim? Probably about 75% college football?
Oh, we're primarily college football.
Yeah, we're probably at 75-80% college football, more than likely. You know, we will throw some MMA in there. Me and Jimmy do like our contact sports. Threaten me with a good time.
We like watching men wrestle in tight clothes. What?
We like dudes in tights, wrestling around on the ground, grabbing each other.
Who said that?
What? Come from wherever. And then, you know, we'll also throw in probably some NFL football, not as much as possible, but probably I'll probably say our second or third sport, MMA, tied with some baseball, probably, Jim.
Oh yeah, baseball's my thing. We're both big college football fans. First and foremost, we love football. We love NFL, not so much. We love college football. My favorite sport is baseball. I love baseball.
100%. I know you're a baseball. And I can speak my baseball, and I'll give my 2 cents. Jim's going to be your baseball guru on this. Basketball is kind of my second forte. And then we'll kind of throw in, we'll sprinkle in some other things from here and there. Also, we were talking... and anybody that listens, if you want to throw in a comment, if you want, we've decided that we do need some radio names.
Oh. Well, we kind of had
anything-
had some good ones, to start off. Yours is Big Cat.
decent ones.
You got Boom and Buck. We're coming in hot with the Boom and Buck. We got Big Cat.
Wait, what is? I guarantee you, we are. I'm looking at my timer. We are 4 minutes and 30 seconds in. If Ryan Ramsauer is still listening, I guarantee you, he has said "fuckboy 1" and "fuckboy 2."
Correct.
About this time.
Well, guess what, Ryan? That means you're fuckboy 3. So you didn't even make
You know what?
we didn't make the top 2, idiot.
We have a section for you, Ryan. Just you wait, buddy. Just you wait.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, kind of without further ado,
Yeah, let's jump in.
Jim.
Jump in.
We're going to jump in, and the hot topic of all of college football is college football national championship
Tomorrow.
Big game.
I'm jazzed,
LSU
man. It
Clemson.
should be a good one.
Yeah, I think this is a game that, looking at the two teams, this is one of the better ones. This is one of the more interesting ones.
Yep. This is an interesting one. And then, of course, my bias, Ohio State Clemson, was very interesting going into that one.
Well,
but you can't disagree because that was a good matchup.
I would like to say that my Sooners and LSU was an interesting one going forward, and it was until the game kicked off, and then we got the brakes beat off us. So that wasn't that interesting.
Yeah, we'll go over that. We got sections for that game.
that was not as interesting. But so kind of my thoughts.
Yeah.
Going into this game. LSU Clemson. I think it's very interesting. It seems like all year, all anybody's been talking about is Clemson and Ohio State. Clemson and Ohio State.
Yep.
And not for bad reason. I told you all season. I thought Ohio State was the most complete looking team.
Yep.
They looked the part. They had the offense, they had the defense, they had the rushing game, they had the passing game. They looked it. And it's weird that we have just, it seems like, just passed off Clemson. We've been talking about LSU and Clemson, and I remember Jim, you've been saying about talking about Dabo.
Yeah.
And Dabo felt that they felt
disrespected.
Disrespected. Yeah. And you didn't feel it. And I'm not gonna lie, I 100% agree with Dabo.
Yeah.
I do. I do. And this is my reason. First off, the ACC's trash. We're not going to lie about that.
Yeah.
It always is. It always has. Well, not always has been. But it has been this year and last year. I mean, they had ranked team in Virginia, and that was a joke.
Good. Virginia's a good team. It's not. And then, so I actually wanted to go over that. I don't think they were necessarily a garbage conference. I think the Pac-12 was worse, actually.
Well, that's not a stretch.
No, it's not a stretch. But I would if you look at it and you go through and you look at the records of the other teams that were in the ACC, and they're not terrible. They're just kind of good. So I don't want to say that the ACC was necessarily garbage. I would say flat. Other than Clemson, Clemson is clearly the best team in that conference and might be the best team in the country, right? Depending on what happens tomorrow. But I wouldn't say the ACC is necessarily garbage. Fun fact, ACC had the most amount of teams in bowl games this year.
Right, and not only that, but I was kind of sitting there looking at comparison, doing my little research, as I like to do. And kind of, what have I always told you, Jim, that good teams do when they meet bad teams?
You blow them out of the water. If you've got your starters in the second half, then you're not playing well against a bad team.
Right, and that's what I've always said. Regardless of Clemson played in the ACC, it's not a great conference. Okay, you can't fault Clemson for that. They played who they put in front of them.
Yep. And
they beat the freaking brakes off everybody.
Yeah, after UNC, they went on a complete tear.
Even before UNC, so I was looking at it. So there is only 3 times, in the regular season, not counting Ohio State, but there's only 3 times this entire season Clemson didn't beat a team by 35 or more points.
Yeah.
One of them was Florida State, which they beat them by 30.
Yeah.
Then Texas A&M, which was a 14-point win, and the sneak by of UNC, which everybody heard about.
That was,
but I think
UNC, that game was an anomaly. It was early on, and UNC came out hot, plain and simple. UNC came out hot,
and Go ahead.
We can talk about UNC next year on another podcast. I think they're probably going to be pretty good next year. I don't think they're going to be challenging for an ACC championship, but challenging.
They're a good team. Mac Brown's a good coach. They got a freshman quarterback that's stud,
dynamic. He's fun.
Yeah, they got the good building blocks.
By the way, that ANC quarterback reminds me of Baker. He's like a Baker light right now.
That's a bold statement to bring up my Baker.
Listen, man, I'm just talking play style. I don't know if he's actually going to translate or not, but play style reminds me of him.
That's a bold statement.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, so I kind of understand where Dabo's coming from is because coming into the college football playoff. Yeah. The question of who's number one, number two. It was Ohio State, LSU, Ohio State, LSU, and nobody talked about Clemson. Clemson has beaten the brakes off everybody that stepped foot field on them. They've got a quarterback that's never fucking lost. Like, let's not forget this, dude.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence
is undefeated.
Is 22-0. Which is unreal. Mm-hmm. I think he's probably 19 right now. He was 18 as a freshman. Yeah, 19 he's 19 now.
He was a true freshman last year. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's 19 years old and he's 22-0. They got Travis Etienne, who is a baller for running back. Mm-hmm. They got T. Higgins and Justin Ross on the outside.
Yep.
They got a front four that is stellar.
It's not as good as it was last year, but I mean they lost all four of the defensive linemen last year.
Yeah, they absolutely lost a lot. So kind of my big thing going into this game, and don't get me wrong, you put a gun to my head, you ask me who's going to win, I'll probably say LSU.
Yeah.
But it seems like everybody's writing off Clemson like they're nothing. And they are freaking loaded.
Yeah.
They are stupid loaded.
Yeah. So my thoughts on that one is I didn't necessarily disrespect Clemson. And like you said, we talked about it before. You 100% agree with Dabo Swinney. And I don't necessarily disagree with Dabo. Excuse me. I don't necessarily disagree with Dabo Swinney. I do think they might have been disrespected a little bit when it comes down to who's 1, 2, or 3. But to be honest with you, I think most of the people that were looking at that top 4 going into it had LSU, Ohio State, Clemson as 1A, 1B, 1C. Those 3 teams were for sure the best teams in the country right now.
Well, but see, that's where I'd argue a little bit. I think it was pretty much 1A, 1B with LSU, Ohio State.
Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
Clemson.
And I see what you're saying. But the other thing is everybody was using that because if they lose to UNC, I think if they lose that UNC game, they're still in the playoff for sure. It's an early enough loss to the point to where they could come back and they could reel off all those wins like they did after the UNC game. They're still in for sure.
So, then that brings up the question. I mean, you say this, and by the way, everybody that's listening, I would like to welcome you to our first furry little friend called Squirrel.
Squirrel. Oh, we didn't
Squirrel.
We didn't forget. That was something we were going to do in the intro. Forgot.
Squirrel. I like to get squirrels to go off. But anyway, so you're telling me that you will take a 1-loss. Well, I guess. Oh no, that's a lie. Never mind. I was about to say. So a 1-loss Clemson, you would give over a. Who else was next in line?
For 1 loss?
Well, no, who's next in line after Oklahoma? Because Oklahoma was 4. So Georgia. You think Clemson would stay over Georgia? Georgia's lost. Granted, they lost to who's it? South Carolina.
If you're looking at it, but I think Georgia was overrated going into that final playoff ranking.
I feel a lot of people in the SEC are overrated.
But here, look at it. But then you look at the other teams that were there. You've got so I would take a 1-loss Clemson over a 2-loss Georgia because LSU was undefeated, so that they won the SEC. It doesn't matter. I would take them over and a lot of this is played out, so it's easier. It's hindsight 2020 type situation. I would say I would take Clemson over at the time if they lost to UNC. I would have taken Clemson over that 2-loss Georgia. I would have taken them over Baylor. I would have taken them over Utah and taken them over Oregon. But at the same time, if the bowl games haven't played out the way they had been played out, then I don't know, but I still think they would have been in because they ran roughshod over the ACC.
Right. Well, I mean, hindsight's 2020. It's super easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point. But nonetheless, they end up winning the game. And I just
you're saying you would probably put somebody else over there. Well, Georgia, I don't think Georgia's in because that's a 2-loss non-conference win.
Right. I think this year Clemson probably still gets in. Last year was with Ohio State the way they were. Didn't get in. I think last year there was probably a little bit more of that gray area. I think this year,
and I think that's where some of the talk was coming about because the same thing has happened to Ohio State twice now. They had one loss on the record going into they won the Big Ten and got passed over for the playoff because they had one bad loss. Right. Granted, and that's the thing is if UNC makes that 2-point conversion, that's a bad loss. It's definitely not a good loss, but I would say their quality of wins overshadows their bad loss. You look at Ohio State in 2014. They had one bad loss. They lost to Virginia Tech. Right.
They had a very bad loss.
Right.
Well, in the year after that when they played Iowa.
But the way
I just want to bring that one up.
But that's the next year. But I'm not talking about that. Talking about 14.
I just want to bring that up to fuck with you.
Right. So they have that one loss, but then they haul off and they win the rest of their games. They win the Big Ten 59-0. So it comes down to, and I hate talking about bad losses because bad losses, good losses, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of a, it's like trying to choose a painting based off of which one has the least worst. I don't know. I don't have a very good metaphor for this one. I prefer quality wins. Clemson had a ton of quality wins.
I'm the other way around. I value bad losses over good wins. And this is my reason. It's pretty easy to tell me who's a bad team.
Yeah.
Kansas is not a good team.
Yeah.
Boston College is not a good team. Vanderbilt is not a very good football team.
Right.
Good wins. I mean, people are like, again, I showed you it earlier this season that people were taking LSU and Texas as a good win. Well, come to find out, Texas is not a very good win.
No, that's not a good win.
Auburn is not a very good win. I mean, I'm not gonna say they're a terrible win, but it's not the top 15 team win that you think. Especially good wins. And I will tell you this, everybody that's listening and everybody that is not listening, a la you man in black, ESPN and their ball-sucking kiss my butt of the SEC.
They love them some SEC, boy.
Like stop it. Just stop it. LSU, Bama, Georgia, that's your top three.
Yeah.
Florida's decent.
Florida's
Auburn,
coming back.
decent. No, they're decent. They're a decent football team. I will put them as a 9-win football team, maybe 10-win football team. They're not the elite. They're not the upper echelon. Stop it. Don't tell me that.
No. This year, no.
Don't. Well, not even going forward. Don't tell me LSU beating Florida is equal to Ohio State beating Penn State. It's not.
No.
Don't even freaking start with that. But the bull sucking of SEC just keeps going.
Yep.
Rant, getting off my box, but that's my point.
Right.
But on this, going back to the national championship game. Sorry, we got squirreled.
I was gonna say we can talk about the actual game that Clemson
yeah, we'll get into it. So, going into this game, I think Clemson is. I think they're very complete.
I agree.
They've got a very good passing game. fun fact I watched earlier before this. First 7 games of the season, Trevor Lawrence had 14 touchdowns and 8 interceptions.
Yeah.
The next 7 games, he has 22 touchdowns and 0 interceptions.
Yeah. Dude.
This kid is a stud.
Oh, yeah. Plain and simple.
I'm not gonna say he's God's gift to football, but he's damn near.
Yeah, listen. There's a lot of people. Who are saying he might be the greatest college football player ever with the most, and that might be true. But I mean, he's very good, and I don't want to take anything away from him, obviously. But I mean, if we're talking about, and we could talk about this later, like on a when we want to go, just talk about like the greatest college football players of all time. You know, we're talking Tim Tebow. You know, we're talking. You know,
you say
Archie Griffin.
I get exactly where you're going,
Yeah.
but I mean, right now, if he goes and beats LSU, and he is 23-0 as a college football quarterback with 2 national championships.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't have a Heisman, but I mean,
Yeah.
he's got 2
No,
championships.
I understand.
The 2 trophies that matter the most.
Yeah.
And like in the most point, never beat. But on this game, quick question, Jim.
Yeah.
I think this might be the most interesting kind of point that I've thought about and heard. So, LSU Georgia Monday. I'm not going to tell you who wins, who loses. All I'm going to say is blowout. Who wins?
Who would win in a blowout between the two?
No. I'm just going to tell you, like, if you took some painkillers and you passed out all Monday,
Yeah.
and Tuesday you woke up and called me, asked me about the game, and I said the game was a blowout. Initially, who you say wins that game?
I'd say LSU.
First, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the interesting point about this game is, I think Clemson has a very, very good chance to win this game, but I don't see Clemson blowing them out by 20.
No, neither do I.
But I do see LSU and their offense catching fire. Like Clemson turning the ball over once or two, and then the game gets like kind of like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Game gets out of hand, and just the snowball starts.
Yep.
And it's hard to stop their offense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a very interesting point. So like, I think it's either like Clemson in a decently close one, or LSU just
Yeah.
smashes their ass.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have thoughts on that as well when it comes down to if we're actually going to go. Well, if you want, we can go into LSU and then we can go back to the Ohio State, the Orange Bowl, when we talk about that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I have some thoughts on that one without
Yeah,
trying not to rant too much. And you know me, I don't really rant. I'm not much of a ranter. I don't get angry very quickly, very easily. But there's some things in there that bother me, obviously. If we're going to go about LSU, going into that one, talking about that team, you saw them firsthand. I've seen them firsthand because I watched highlights, and then I watched the OU LSU game. It was a Sugar Bowl, right? The Sugar Bowl.
It was a slaughter. It wasn't a game. It was a slaughter.
It was bad. It was bad. But okay, in my opinion, like Ohio State fans were like, "Oh man, Ohio State should have been number one." And my knee-jerk reaction was, yeah, I agree because, they won the Big Ten championship, didn't lose. LSU beat Georgia, who we both agree is probably not as high, didn't deserve to be ranked as high as they were, with their offensive woes near the end of the season. But looking back at it, looking at what LSU did against OU, because I do think OU is
they beat Bama, which is the dynasty.
Yeah.
That's the dynasty rolling right now.
Exactly.
I think that's a big heavy.
Exactly. And in my opinion, they are clearly the best team in the country. You can argue Clemson's right there. You can argue Clemson because they're in the game with them, obviously. But at the same time, I still think LSU is the best team in the country. That offense this year is insane. Insane. You think of this, okay? If you've got one wide receiver, let's say CeeDee Lamb.
Oh,
goes
I got
for
you on this one.
goes
Go ahead.
for 18 touchdowns and over 1,500 yards receiving. Would you be excited?
I'm not going to say excited.
No, I'm just saying, would you be excited that you have a weapon, somebody who can, one person, at least one person, and let's say the rest of your wide receivers have like 900 yards and a couple touchdowns, like 5-6 touchdowns. But you have one guy who is over 1,500 yards receiving and 18 touchdowns. I'd be excited for that.
Well, I know you would. But granted, you're talking to a fan that's Oklahoma.
Sure.
We had Hollywood Brown last year.
Right. I get that.
We had another dude that was up for the Heisman the other year.
Right.
So,
but you're not complaining. You're not complaining. You're excited that you have somebody as a weapon like that. LSU has.
I would not complain. No.
LSU has two. They have two wide receivers with 18 touchdowns and over 1,500 yards receiving. That's insane to me.
I will say it's insane. But at the same time, I think this is a I don't want to say a kiss my ass, but it's a kiss my ass. It is a kiss my ass. Like,
Don't be salty, Ross. Don't be salty.
I'm gonna be so salty. I'm gonna be so salty. Everybody. So Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
The offense that and we talked about it obviously for the offense that they had with Baker was idiotic. And don't get me wrong, Baker's senior season was great.
Yeah.
Their sophomore season or junior season, Baker's junior season,
Yeah.
when he had Joe Mixon, he had Samaje Perine, he had Marquise Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Like, LSU's offense is nothing that we haven't seen before. OU's been doing this for years, and everybody counted it as, the Big 12's got bad defense.
Right.
Now all of a sudden LSU does it, and everybody's like, oh my God, they're God's gift to football. Fuck off. We've been doing this for years, but we've just been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
That everybody's, they expect it. If we're not in the top 5, people expect it.
My thing is, yes, it becomes expected of OU. That's 100% for sure, especially since Lincoln's been there. Offense since Lincoln Riley has been at OU has been phenomenal. It's been fantastic. Now, there are some decent defenses in the Big 12. TCU usually has a pretty decent defense. Baylor's defense this year was kind of okay.
Yeah, Baylor's was better than TCU.
Yeah, Iowa State usually, sometimes has a good defense. I think they had a pretty decent defense this year. Not as good this year as they have in the past, but still decent, right? Now, we're talking about the SEC, and I know you say quit sucking balls on the SEC, but the truth of the matter is their defenses are pretty damn good. Yeah, Florida's defense was pretty good. Georgia's defense, which is very good. You got Auburn's defense, which was pretty good. I thought they were better than they were going into Alabama.
So,
They might have been pretending a little bit.
This is where I'm going to go back into, and we can get squirrel. We're going to dive into it, and I think this is a whole another episode.
Yeah.
Waiting, but my thing is how good are they?
Yeah.
You don't know how good they are. They all of SEC dealt with one spread them out, go to town offense.
Yeah.
LSU, and they rolled them motherfuckers.
Yeah.
All the other times, the SEC does a pro style one back.
Yep.
Run them out. So and I'm not trying to take anything away from those offenses.
Yeah.
They're very efficient at what they do. Alabama is very efficient at what they do. So is Auburn. Florida, they're efficient at what they do, but they just don't rack out the numbers. So to say that those defenses are good,
you can't say that they're bad, but you can't say that they're bad.
Yeah, exactly. You can't say they're good, and you can't say they're bad.
Yeah.
They haven't faced it. And my big argument has always been, I'm not saying the Big 12 defenses are spectacular, but when you face, like, let's just for 2 seconds before I get way too off handle. The last 4 years, you're going like when you handle a Tyreek Hill, James Washington, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, Joe Mixon,
Marquise
RG3, Marquise, like
CeeDee Lamb.
These like it's hard to contain these boys, and your defense is. I mean, it's gonna, like 2 years ago, defenses literally had to go against Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield.
In the same year.
Like possibly back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, can you imagine if Patrick Mahomes actually had a good coach instead of Cliff Kingsbury?
Oh yeah, so it's ridiculous. So that's kind of my knock and all that, and that's a squirrel, but it's just kind of a
yeah.
I'm not saying they're a bad offense.
Right.
I'm not saying they're a bad defense. I'm just saying like.
Well, I'm gonna put it in perspective. In terms of numbers, you love numbers. I love numbers.
I love numbers.
Last season, not this past season, but 2018, LSU's their offense went from about 402 total yards per game, which ranked them overall in the entire country at 69. Nice, by the way, nice. This season,
69.
This season, they're number one at 564. That's under 1 year with Joe Brady as the passing coordinator / co-offensive coordinator. That's somebody's name who gets brought up every once in a while, and I think he's going to get a lot of attention depending on how good they do next year. Because a lot of people are putting the success of the offense on Joe Burrow's shoulders, and yes, he's the one who definitely does all the lion's share of the work, and he's very talented, as evidenced by his Heisman, which he deserved 100%. But Joe Brady is the mind. He's the one. He is LSU's Lincoln Riley.
All right, that's a little. Come on now.
Do you know it? But listen, man, you can't argue with the numbers. The numbers are there. They jumped.
Numbers are numbers. He's done it for a year. Like, do it for 4 or 5 years.
No, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Because if you look at I know OU's offense. Well, I remember OU's offense before Lincoln Riley got there. I remember watching games with you when they had Trevor Knight starting at quarterback, and then the Belldozer. Right? Those offenses were not good.
Atrocious. They were atrocious.
Right. And then Lincoln comes in, boom. It's like, what is happening? Baker Mayfield, this walk-on at Texas Tech, this walk-on at OU is now a Heisman candidate and then wins the Heisman, the first walk-on to ever do it, dude. And granted, Joe Burrow, who was recruited out of high school, not a whole lot. I mean, it was a little bit. Like his only offer after his junior year was Ohio University, the Bobcats, and that's because his dad worked there.
No. His only offer after his junior year.
Yeah, that's what I said. His junior year, but he's definitely
then after that, he had everybody.
And Baker definitely was not nearly as highly recruited as Joe Burrow. Like I said, we'll see what happens next year because Joe Burrow's gone. I know one of those wide receivers is going to be gone for LSU. Not Jefferson, the other one, I think.
Chase.
Yeah. They're I still think they're going to be good. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were this year, but we'll see. And I said that, and I said that about OU. I was like, I think their offense will still be really good because it's Lincoln Riley, but it probably won't be as good. And then Kyler Murray.
Right. Yeah.
Which was,
and then plus Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of moving along.
Yeah.
One of my favorite topics that we have on the schedule, talking about it. Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Your mind, best players to watch.
Right.
Or not one. Players to watch each team. Not named Joe Burrow. Or not named Trevor Lawrence.
Yep. And I got some here.
Who you got?
I got a couple. LSU, I've already named them off. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, the two wide receivers for LSU. Like I said, you've got two in the top three in receiving yards And to me, that's insane. I already brought it up, and you say it's no big deal. But to me, if I've got two 1,500-yard and 18 touchdown wide receivers on Ohio State, I'm ecstatic. I'm sitting down because if I stand up, it's going to be awkward for everybody.
So I'm going to tell you, like on LSU, like don't get me wrong, I love Chase, I love Jefferson.
Yeah.
Jefferson, the way that Orgeron uses him, like against OU. Granted, my boys got the balls beat off him, but I will say Orgeron was the smartest son of a bitch to face the planet. He took Jefferson and he put him against our backup safety.
Yep.
And he got 4 touchdowns. Like, that was smart as hell.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the wide receivers of LSU. I'm going to say out of LSU, my player to watch is Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Mm-hmm.
I think if LSU can get the freaking running game going, keep the LSU front 7 honest. Watching that dude run, that dude runs with passion. That dude runs with some freaking anger.
Yep.
He lowers his shoulder and it's like, get the hell out of my way. He's the Hulk.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, Chase and Jefferson are going to be the ones who are probably focused on the most, just because they're the big ones. And I agree with you. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He was going to be, but then I looked at the numbers and I just had to bring up those numbers.
The numbers of the LSU wide receivers are fantastic.
And
don't get me wrong, those guys are stud.
And you look at what Dobbins was able to do against Clemson before he hurt his ankle. He could have went off. He could have went off for over 200 yards. I think he did actually.
Right, and I think if Edwards-Helaire could if he can keep the front 7 honest and run the ball and get 5, 6, 7 yards.
Yep.
And bring those linebackers up. You bring them safeties up, and then all of a sudden, Clemson, even though they got them athletes outside, LSU's LSU's wide receivers are huge.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna win that one-on-one matchup. They're gonna win that jump
balls. Yeah, they can be beaten.
They're gonna win it.
They could be beaten.
Yeah, they can definitely be.
You saw the jump ball with Garrett Wilson, true freshman wide receiver. Clemson's DBs can be beaten on 50-50 balls for sure.
Right. Which on the separate side, on players to watch for Clemson, I got. I'm going to give you a little plethora of them: Logan Rudolph, Tyler Davis, Niles Pickney, and Xavier Thomas. That's the front 4 to Clemson. Front 4.
Mm-hmm.
If they can, the biggest thing is for them to keep the edge. If you can keep the edge, keep Joe Burrow in the pocket with the D tackles, keeping the running back in front of them to 2-3 yards, I think LSU is going to have a hard time throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow is he is the closest thing to Baker Mayfield I've seen since Baker, and not so much the way he plays, but he doesn't go for the short pass. He holds off on the short pass because he knows that deep play's there. He knows his wide receivers can make that deep ball.
Yeah. Got a little gunslinger to him.
Right, that gunslinger. And if you do that against Clemson, those D ends are going to close, and they are going to close incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Alabama's got some good ones. Georgia's got some good ones. Don't get me wrong. Joe Burrow and that offensive line have not seen a front 4 like the Clemson Tigers. Those dudes are beasts. They are men among boys.
Yeah.
And they're going to come after him with reckless abandonment.
Yeah. If we're gonna go over it, I think if we're talking like keys to the game, obviously for Clemson to win the game, we were talking about it earlier. If it's a blowout, it's LSU. But if it's a close game, Clemson's got an opportunity to win the game. I think it's going to be high scoring. My player
like
on
30
Clemson
plus each?
Yeah, I think so. I think the over under right now is at 69. Nice. And I think it's
score 69.
I think it's going to be over. I think it's going to be in the mid 30, low 40s. I do on both sides.
I think I'm going to go opposite. I don't think I'm going to go opposite. I think the defenses are. Yeah, I think the defenses are coming to play.
Hmm.
I think they're going to show out. I think first team to 30 wins.
That's fair. That's fair. My thought was this, though. You look at Ohio State and how they were able to move the ball. They weren't able to score in the red zone, right? And that's ultimately, besides some other stuff, which we'll get into, ultimately led to them losing the game. Was they missed out? I think it was like a 8-point swing. To where if they score in those opportunities that they use to get into the red zone. Now, mind you, we've got a quarterback in Justin Fields whose knee is not 100%. So he's not in those zone reads. He's not pulling the ball. He's just giving it to J.K. Dobbins. And what does J.K. Dobbins do? He had 174 yards on 10 touches. Or on 8. Oh, no, it wasn't 10 touches. It was, I have it up here. On 18. On 18 touches, he had 174 yards, averaging 9.7. And Dobbins was the guy. He was the guy. And if you have a healthy running back, a healthy quarterback, and those two wide receivers, I think you can move the ball on Clemson because I saw it. With a quarterback, even when Dobbins hurt his ankle and he came back in, he wasn't as explosive as he was, but he was still able to move the ball. I don't know if that's credit to Dobbins, which he is one of the best, if not the best, running back in the country this year.
Don't give me that. He's one of the. He's not the best, but he's very.
We can get into that. We can get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get on that later. All right. Well, hey Jim.
Yeah.
So we've been sitting here talking about this.
Yeah.
So let's get in the real deal hunky dory shit.
Okay.
Who you got?
I have LSU in this game.
I think
it's pretty obvious.
LSU is. Yeah, I think LSU is what 6-point favorite.
Yeah.
6-point favorite.
Yeah, they're -6.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Who you got?
If we're talking a straight up prediction, I've got LSU. My score prediction, I'm not married to, but it's the idea of what I was talking about, mid 30s to low 40s. I'm thinking LSU 38, Clemson 35. But like I said, I'm not married to that. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be high scoring because I think both offenses are fantastic. And I think LSU is going to be able to move the ball and get in on that, get in on those either in the red zone or bust out. Like if they bust out 2 or 3 big plays, it's LSU easily.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna go. Shocker! Complete and opposite.
That's fair.
I'm gonna go Clemson 31. LSU 24. I think Clemson with ETN controls the ball. I think Trevor Lawrence runs the ball, which we saw against Ohio State.
Yeah,
dude's got some wheels.
That was one of the things I was surprised at. His open field speed was, I did not expect that.
Yeah, I didn't either. Like I didn't know it until he did it. Like kid's got some wheels.
Yeah.
I think with his surprise wheels, I think with Travis Etienne running the ball, I think that Clemson keeps the ball away from Joe Burrow, and I think they're gonna kind of do what people have done to OU for years.
Yeah.
Keep your offense off the field. Because you don't want to go toe to toe with their offense.
Right. And that's what I was saying. If it's a shootout and it's big, then I got LSU.
Right.
And I think you would agree with me on that one. You're thinking Clemson's defense is going to be able to, or Clemson's offense is going to be meticulous enough to keep LSU off.
Yeah, I think Clemson's offense is going to be good enough with ETN to get 4 or 5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
To get a 10, 12 play drive.
Yeah.
To keep LSU's offense off the field.
Yeah.
And I
Go ahead.
think it's going to be 31-24, 31-21, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, it's a coin flip game.
It is.
You got you've got the two best teams in the country. And to be honest with you, it's a coin flip game if it's Ohio State.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So It's really interesting. There's no Bama this year. It's Clemson.
I love it.
And it's cool. Yeah. I do think one last thing when it comes down to it, I think LSU, if they obviously it all comes down to who wins in the trenches. Clemson's D line against LSU's O line. Yeah, if LSU's O line wins in the trenches, then
it's over.
I think it's over. Yeah, if they can't get to Joe Burrow, it's bad news Bears.
Yeah, it's be over. Okay, so we're gonna start now a little segment you guys are gonna hear every week. And we haven't discussed the name, but I'm gonna call it. And here we go. And here we go is Jimmy has a subject that so all the other stuff that we've talked to, we've kind of discussed like conversations and what we're going to talk about. This subject is I have no clue what Jimmy's about to bring up to me.
I think you have I think you have kind of an idea. I've been hitting
an idea.
I've been hitting that a little bit throughout the episode here.
Yeah, right. And Jimmy's going to bring up something to me, and I'm going to have to shoot from the hip. No planning, no research, no nothing. And then after that, I'm going to give Jimmy my thought. And Jimmy says he's been hitting. Jimmy has no fucking clue what I'm about to bring to him.
No. My random thoughts, I got a couple here to choose from. I had one that I did not hint at, but I know your thoughts on it already. But I think I'll go with my first one here. So I'm going to give mine first to you.
Total tease. He's just such a tease. all right. So, Jimmy, and here you go. Give it to me, Bubba.
Thoughts on the targeting rule, the current targeting rule in college football? And
I fucking hate it. I hate it. I understand the point of getting some of the dirty hits out.
For sure.
And I 100% agree with that. But I think that there needs to be more than the set in stone rules, and that's kind of opposite of all the other rules that I talk about. But for instance, my biggest one was the one with your boy from Ohio State,
Shaun Wade,
going in and hitting Joe Burrow,
leveled him by the way. Which is not easy to do. Which is not easy to do because he's a big boy.
And by the rule of the law, that was targeting.
Yeah.
But dude came in from safety, flying full-fledged, lowered his shoulder, and you can't lower your shoulder without your head going with it. That's just the way it works. Joe Burrow also lowered his head.
Trevor Lawrence.
And it ended up happening. And when you get the bam bam play, is it watching that play? Is it considered targeting? Sure, but is it really? No.
Was it malicious?
No, it wasn't malicious. He didn't go in there. And I will tell you, full fledged, I am an OU fan. I am diehard bleed. I've got OU tattooed on my wrist. Buki. In the LSU game, his hit, that was malicious.
That was dirty.
That was dirty. That was targeting. He should have been ejected. When I saw that, I was like, yeah.
You're dude, what are you doing? You're you're like a disappointed parent. You are a parent, by the way, so you understand what that means now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I saw the quarterback was running one way, and Buki could have gone after the quarterback, and he went after the freaking running back and hit him. No, dude, that was targeting.
Yeah, that's not
I like the idea so far that they did that you can now review it.
Yeah. It's still not perfect though.
It's not perfect. I think that they need to do something on the malicious versus non-malicious.
Yeah.
Make at least a human element of saying, did he go in here to try to literally hurt somebody?
Right.
Because if you did, fuck you. Get out.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I love big. I'm an old school football boy, and I love the big hits, and I love the knock your ass on the ground.
You're a let 'em play guy. You're a let 'em play. Let them play, ref.
Oh yeah, I am definitely a let them play, but the like vaulting, crown of your helmet, helmet to helmet,
Yeah.
like spearing somebody that's like not looking at you. No, get the hell out.
Yeah, you're
like no. Like we're not doing that. Like the if you have the ball in your hand,
you are you're expecting a hit. You know it's coming.
Yeah, like if you have the ball in your hand, shut the hell up. Like hell is coming.
Mm-hmm.
You play with dudes that have been bred to kill you. Yeah, you're gonna get hit, and you're gonna get hit hard. Don't give me char rating at that point.
It's baked into the cake.
Guys that are just kind of walking around the field and just get speared. Yeah.
Oh yeah, get out of here.
Stop that.
Yeah, there's no need for that.
That's dirt. I'm not doing.
Yeah, my problem is there is a slight tinge of intent in there. Like you have to prove intent to hurt the person you're trying to hit, right? But intent is all internal, you know. You're not going to go out there and say, "Hey, ref, I am going to earhole this wide receiver on a crossing route, even though the ball's not coming his way." You're never going to say that. That's
the ref's
never
not
going
to walk up to you.
Right?
Did you intentionally try to hurt that dude? Yes, sir.
Yeah. And if you look at that, that's the reason I brought it up was because Sean Williams was ejected from the national championship game,
which I thought was, in my mind, outside looking in, I thought that was a bad call.
Yeah, I thought it was a bad call as well, but I get why they called it. I get it. I wasn't necessarily like, oh man, this is going to cost us. And in a way, it kind of did, kind of didn't, because I've got my own soapbox thing I'm going to talk about at the end. My rant.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Jim, and everybody that kind of listened to us, me and Jim were planning on doing this an hour. Looks like we're going about an hour and a half. So
yeah, we're going.
Kiss our ass.
Yeah, we're going to be going a little while here.
Yeah, just give us. We're going to go about an hour and a half. Kiss our ass. All right, Jim. So my conversation to you.
Yeah.
You obviously are not as big as basketball fan as me.
No,
I'm not saying you're not a basketball fan, but you are not as big as basketball fan as me.
No.
So the NBA is thinking about doing a mid-season tournament where each player gets $1 million for the winner, and the team that wins gets an extra first-round draft pick.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Would that catch your interest? Would you watch, not being a basketball fan, would that start catching your interest?
On the surface, yeah. Yeah, on the surface for sure. You know, you see when it comes down to, soccer, or football, as the rest of the world calls it, they have mid-season tournaments all the time. And,
Yeah, but you don't get anything from it.
No, they don't get anything from it, but they still play their starters because something that I've noticed in the NBA, and it's happened, and it started this year, and now people are talking about it. When you're talking about time management, do you honestly think the big names, you're talking LeBron James, you're talking Kyrie Irving, you're talking Anthony Davis, you're talking Kawhi Leonard, do you honestly think that they give a crap if their team is going to have an extra? They don't, $1 million, for those top guys, they don't care. Do you honestly think that a guy that Kawhi Leonard cares if his team has an extra first-round draft pick the next year? Especially when it's going to be a later draft round pick anyway. So you're not. I don't think you're going to get the big names playing in that tournament.
Well, they don't, and granted, like LeBron James doesn't give a shit about the money and whatnot, but like the mid-range people. The funny thing is, I say mid-range people that still make $8 million or so a year. A lot of guys that came out was like, I would put that $1 million towards my child's education.
Sure. If they have kids,
Oh yeah, well,
sure.
I'm not going to say anything on that. But yeah, I mean, like I think even if LeBron and them don't play, or Kawhi or whoever, I think it'd be very interesting. I mean, like, but what if you say, like, first round draft pick, last pick of the lottery. So then you're guaranteed a 15th pick.
I still don't think a top end big name player is going to give a crap if their team has an extra first round pick. I don't think they care.
Well, I think they do. I really think they do. Like, for instance, right now, like, you don't think that, like for instance, Russell Westbrook, right?
Yeah.
Before Paul George came, like, he was rolling the Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
He was Mr. Thunder, but he was just good enough to get us in the playoffs, and we'd always have a 23rd
Sure.
round draft pick. If he could win us that tournament and get us a 15th pick and a 23rd pick,
Yeah.
and then you could buckle those into a trade to move into the top 12.
I get it. Yeah, I get it, but I don't think Russell Westbrook cares.
Well, no. So, like, the question was not so much that my question was more you as a non-basketball fan.
Would I be interested? Sure.
Would you tune in?
I would tune in if you've got
Like, to the finals?
if you've got like big names playing. Yeah, I would definitely tune in.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's kind of my thing.
But
It's like,
I don't. But I don't think the big names are going to play because they don't care.
No, but at the same time, they don't have a choice.
Well, that's the other thing. Then it's going to come down to a collective bargaining agreement to where it says, well, we don't need to participate because now you're getting into a situation where you're talking load management now, where people are just sitting out because they want to sit out because they're tired.
No, you can kiss my ass. You get paid $120 million to play
Right.
basketball.
But that's our mindset.
Play some basketball. Play some basketball.
That's our mindset, you know? We're like, yeah, of course we're going to play if we're getting paid. If we're getting paid $500,000, we're definitely going to play.
You
You
pay
know,
me $1,000 to play some basketball.
That's but that's our mindset. But the mindset amongst the big names in the NBA now is they're very business oriented. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. Of course, you take care of you 100%. But understand the repercussions that you're going to get from the fans, from teams, you know, you being considered possibly being somebody who's not, you can't work with them, stuff like that. And at the same time, if you're like, I don't care, you know, I'm going to make sure my legs are fresh for playoffs, which I is a good idea. I'm not lying. It's a good idea, but at the same time, it goes against yours and mine's principles. If you are healthy, you play.
Yeah, you play some ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. I mean, I agree with that, and I agree. You play some ball. I think it would bring some interesting points. Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Something that is interesting is the teams that are mid-tier, that aren't the Lakers, that aren't, you know, who's the big in the East, the Miami Heats, you know, guys like that. The teams, because you know LeBron James is probably not going to play in that tournament. You know, like guys like Kawhi are not going to play in that tournament. The mid-tier teams, they're going to have their starters in.
Right.
Give them an
And not only
opportunity.
that, like the
that
low
is interesting.
The low team tiers are going to have theirs. So, like, oh, you're telling me I could get the third pick and then the 15th pick?
Yeah.
Okay.
100% it has to be single elimination as well.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So, we're already to the... Welcome, everybody, to the hour.
We've made it an hour.
You've made it an hour. Okay.
If you're still here, we love you.
Oh, Ryan, suck my ass.
He's not here.
No, Ryan quit about like 5 minutes ago.
By the way, in future podcasts, we are going to have my good friend Ross here, and I are gigantic fans of uniforms.
I love uniforms. I love uniforms.
Yeah, we love talking uniforms, fixing ones. We talked about Tulane when they played earlier this year. We're like, oh man, they're not bad. They just fix the colors and it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, and we're gonna call, and our friend Ryan, hates it when we talk uniforms. So every once in a while, we'll just throw it in the chat with the three of us and make him mad.
Yeah, we're gonna call them
And our
fuckboy uniforms.
talking about
Let's go.
new uniforms. We'll probably only do it if we keep going far enough to the point to where maybe once a month, maybe once every quarter.
I
Not a lot of
think
uniform news comes out very
Yeah,
quick,
I
very
think
often.
we might
But I
do
think, but
beginning of the
that
year
segment
a
we're
pot.
calling Brian and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
I love it. I think we'll do that at the beginning of each season.
Ross, you still there?
Oh, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm totally still here. I think we'll do it as a beginning of the season, just kind of chat.
Yeah.
So where we're at right now, we are going to migrate to the world of men in spandex grabbing each other's balls, a la MMA. We have Connor versus Cowboy Cerrone.
Big fight.
Big fight. Really exciting fight coming up next Saturday.
Yep. Connor's triumphant return to his devastating loss to Khabib.
Right. So let's start out, Jim. Your thoughts. Your thoughts on Cowboy versus Connor.
We've talked about it multiple times. You and I, we love Cowboy. Donald Cerrone is one of our favorite fighters. He's exciting.
I love Cowboy.
He's a great
Loves
striker.
Cowboy.
But you're talking Conor McGregor. You're talking one of the greatest strikers in UFC and MMA history. And
Right.
and he's focused. I love Donald. I hope he wins, but I don't think he's winning this one. And he's been on a bit of a downslide. I looked up his numbers. Lost to Darren Till and Tony Ferguson. Granted, he's losing to some big names, and it's not like Conor, some middle of the road fighter. It's Conor fucking McGregor. And I don't think he's got this one. I hope it's a great fight, and I hope it goes the full 5, but I don't think so.
First off, I don't think it's going to the first 5. Don't get me wrong. Well, let's get real. Like you know me, I am a huge Connor fan.
Sure.
Always have been, always will be. I love his moxie. I love the way he fights. I think his left is probably up there in the top 5 of the greatest equalizer in all of MMA.
Mm-hmm. It's so fast and precise.
It's so fast, so there, and when he lands, it's over.
So you're guessing a win by submission?
Exactly. I think Connor is going to get him into guillotine. No,
Yeah.
I'm not. Fuck that.
No, that's not happening. Definitely not happening.
No,
if it does,
like
I'll be surprised.
if it does, I will do the next podcast on video naked.
No,
You heard it here, folks. I will do it.
I do not accept.
Well, hey, ladies.
Val Venus.
No. Hello, ladies. No, but I think so. My issue with this fight. So you I know MMA. You know MMA better than me, obviously.
Yeah. I know it pretty well.
So
I'm not. I'm
this
not
is
deep
my
into it.
question.
I'm not. I wouldn't tell myself an expert.
So here's my question.
Okay.
And I don't understand how it works this deep. Is Cowboy is the number 6 155 or what number 5 155 fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Connor's not on the list.
At 155?
In top 10.
Yeah, I don't know.
But my question is, this fight's at 170, both of them.
Yeah.
So, if Cowboy wins at 170, does that boost his ranking at 155?
I don't know. I think so. I think for the two of them, I don't think Conor plans on fighting at 170. I don't think he plans. Well, that's not true. I can't say that because he's been calling out Usman, which is a bad idea.
I listened to the interview today. Conor said that he 170 is what he walks around in.
Yeah.
And he's not done at 155, but he would love to fight at 170.
I think he wants to be a two-belt champ again, which makes sense. He's not going to be. He's not going down to 145 ever again.
No, yeah, no, absolutely not. But that's my point. My thought is just because they're fighting at 170, does this boost their 155 ranking, or is fighting at 170 just leave you at the 170? How does this work?
I don't know. That's the funny thing about MMA. You know, what you and I love about college football is you can dive into the numbers and matchups and everything like that. You can't do that in MMA. MMA math does not work.
Yeah, it's kind of up there. But and that's kind of my question. As for the fight itself,
yeah,
I think, like I said, Conor's got he's got his left.
Yep.
Which is, we've talked, I don't know how many times, it's the ultimate game changer.
Yeah.
However, he is going against tough as nails.
Mm.
Cowboy is tough as nails.
Yeah, his nickname is not...
Tough as coffin nails.
Yeah, his nickname is not just a nickname. He's a legit cowboy.
Yeah, he's a legit cowboy. He is tough as coffin nails. And as much, I think this possibly could go 5. I don't see Conor hitting Cowboy hard enough to knock him out. Because I don't see this going to the ground.
No, they're gonna stay standing.
Yeah, they're gonna stay standing. They're gonna pound on the up and down. And I don't see Conor knocking him out. Cowboy's too tough. He's too tough. And on that reason,
out, though.
Wait,
I'd have to look
reason, I'm going to tell you. On that reason, I'm going to tell you. Cowboy wins.
Ooh.
TKO.
You're going with the upset.
Cowboy wins TKO. Probably third, fourth round.
I'm gonna go.
I think that Conor's gonna play some games, do his shit. He sits there and talks. Don't. And everybody listening, I love Conor McGregor. I always have, always will. However, sitting there training is not the same as getting in the damn octagon.
Yeah.
You could train all day long.
And is there a fighter who fights more than Donald Cerrone? I think if he could, he'd fight 5 times in a year.
Cerrone fights every week.
Yeah.
Every freaking week, Cerrone's in the octagon.
I know that was his thing a couple of years ago, and he's pulled back quite a bit. I think he's down to at the most 3 fights a year, which is still a lot. But
oh yeah, no, he's in there all the time, and training is one thing. Getting into the octagon with another male that has been training to put you into the ground.
Yep.
Is a whole nother beast.
Yep.
It's a whole nother beast. Conor has it. He did it, but the last time he did it was against Khabib, and Khabib put him in the damn ground.
Yeah. Yeah. Khabib is scary good.
Well, and that goes again to this fight. They're fighting at 170. We'll see what happens. But at the I don't see the plus of Conor winning.
What do you mean?
We know he can't beat Khabib.
They're gonna fight again.
They're gonna fight again, and Khabib's gonna just. If they had to stand and fight, if there was no going to the ground, it was just stand and fight, I would take Conor. I would. But nobody is better at getting somebody to the ground, laying on them, and being a bear, and just beating on you on the ground.
Yeah.
And Conor can't stop it. He won't be able to stop it if they fight again. And Khabib will do it, and it's kind of like, okay, like just lay on him. The dude fought bears as a child. There's videos of it.
Yeah, it's real.
There's videos of it.
Yeah,
like,
that's real.
That's really happened. He fought bears. For the love of God. Like, it's just stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's hard. You're hard pressed to find anybody who's going to be able to match up and be considered to be a favorite against Khabib. Has Khabib lost a round?
No, he hasn't. Like, I think the only way Khabib even gets like underdog is if he moved divisions.
He's not moving divisions.
He's not gonna move divisions. And the one, like, granted, she's got the shit beat out of him, but that's not the point. I think an interesting fight would be Khabib versus Askren.
That is an interesting one. One.
I would like that one because they both know they're not going to stand and fight.
Yeah.
They both know, let's go to the ground. Khabib wrestled bears. Askren was in the Olympics. That's pretty much a good trade-off in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, that's a good trade-off.
Yeah, that is an interesting fight because you're talking about one thing that I've heard from a lot of MMA guys who know way more than I do and actually get paid for it. Your bread and butter is matchups when you're talking about matchup of styles. And it's not necessarily about personalities. I think, so-and-so is going to win because they're, way more confident. Obviously that means nothing. But confidence does have something to do with it, but that's besides the point. Squirrel. But
pretty sure.
But you're looking at styles, a breakdown, what type of style works best. And I'll give you an example, a real quick one. DC Stipe 2.
Oh, the second
DC
one where
was
with the
winning. He won those first 2 rounds. He was throwing Stipe around.
I would say when the second one was about a push.
Okay, all right, but he was winning. He was winning in points.
Oh yeah,
right?
He was winning.
Right, and then he gets away from it. And DC's style is keep your hands up. And I watched a video on it, and I'll try and link to it and find it again. His big thing that he had a lot of success of, especially against Stipe in that first fight, was the underhook, load the overhand right in secret, because he would get in tight, and everybody would be so scared about his wrestling, which they should be because he's a great wrestler, that whenever he would let loose enough to the point to break, he swung that overhand right and hit Stipe directly in the face and knocked him cold. And then Stipe knew that he was going to try and do that again, and he was able to he still got hit, but he was able to weather the damage and sort of cool off the power in a way.
Oh, yeah,
because of a style change.
Yeah, we watched that fight together. Ish.
My boy helped me out.
Yeah, I maybe Facebook times.
Allegedly.
The fight for Jim.
Allegedly.
Excuse me. But yeah, that body punch was from the gods.
Yeah.
Like, that was from the gods. Like, it was one of the most powerful shots to the gut that just dropped him.
And it was a change in style. He changed his style because DC likes to keep his hands up high to help and distract you from what's going on, from the shoulders down, or what else, distract you from something else. Because he's like, people talk about him poking as well, because he gets his hands in there, he pushes, pokes, he's feeling you out, he's keeping you at an arm's distance, right? And then what did Stipe do? Bow! Liver shot. Boom! Liver shot. Yeah. Broke him down, man.
I thought it was a little interesting. I didn't think Stipe was gonna, because the opposite, Jones keeps his distance.
Yeah.
He just jabs.
Because he can. His arms are ridiculous.
Well, and Stipe could too, honestly.
Right, but it's not as fast as John.
No,
like his hands at his kick. Like Stipe does not kick. He'll do leg kicks, but he's not kicking to the head or body shots.
Right.
He's boxing. That's all boxing for him.
Yeah, true.
By the way, love me some Stipe. He's the man.
No shit. All right, boys and girls, we're going to get to we're closing in on the hour and a half. We are going to get into something that me and Jim have talked about, the closing thoughts, where I'm going to let Jim pretty much just take the pedestal and rant, and I'm not going to say a damn thing. And then after that, I'm going to get on the pedestal and rant. And we're also going to give things to check out, right, Jim?
Yep. A weekly recommend.
Out. Yeah, the weekly recommend at the end of it. And then we're going to sign off, and we are going to say goodbye.
But
Jim,
plug our socials, all that. We'll get there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Jim.
Are you handing me the soapbox?
I'm handing you the box.
Box of soap. All right. Also, something I was hinting at throughout the episode. I'm going to go back to it. The Ohio State Clemson game. Clemson, for sure, a very good team. I talked to Ross about it. Good teams are supposed to do what they're supposed to do against good teams, and that is capitalize on mistakes. Ohio State definitely had mistakes. Clemson definitely won that game, obviously, by the final score. But that was a catch. That was a fumble. That was a scoop. That was a score. Ohio State, 100%, should be playing against LSU tomorrow. But because of the ball wiggled, I don't even know. And I know a lot of you have looked at it, if you did look at it, and was like, I still don't know why that was the call that they made, that they called it an incomplete pass. And what did Clemson do? They capitalized, as they should, right? And I'm not blaming Clemson on that one. I'm blaming the refs. The refs 100% made the decision on the final score. Because if they don't change it, then it's an Ohio State 1-point win. And I hear people complaining all the time. I hate doing it, but I always do it. I always get into the comment section. I don't respond, but I do read, and they're like, Ohio State fans need to stop complaining. Ohio State fans need to stop complaining about the refs. You just didn't score in the red zone. And to a point, they're right. But you can't argue to me. You can't argue to me that was not a catch, that wasn't a fumble, that wasn't a scoop and score. And if that doesn't change, the outcome is different. So you can't say that the refs' decision didn't determine the final outcome, because it did. And down off soapbox, handing it over to my friend.
Down off the soapbox. Okay, that was a good one. All right, so on my soapbox, Clemson won, suck a dick. Okay, no, kidding. That was not my soapbox. No, so jumping on my soapbox, the college football playoffs is coming to an end. College football season is coming to an end. And I have sat here and I've talked all episode about Clemson. I think Clemson has a damn good chance to win. However, if, and it is a big if, but if LSU goes and beats LSU by 14 points, 21 points, like 2-3 touchdowns, we have no choice as fans but to start considering them as the greatest college football team of all time. Not the, but up in the conversation of probably top 5. If you look at what they've done this year, they have beat Alabama, they have beat Georgia, they have beat Auburn, they will have beat Oklahoma, they would have beat Clemson. Like, their resume is absolutely stoked. They have rolled every freaking I don't know what's going on over there, but we have some freaking meteors coming in. But they've rolled every award that is coming in. And if you look at it, push come to shove, like, they got a quarterback that's never lost. I mean, he is very possibly God's gift to football. Say what you want. He looks like Sunshine from freaking Remember the Titans. I don't give a rat's ass. This dude does it all. And if he pulls this off, kudos to him. At the same time, at that point, we've on the opposite end. If Clemson wins, that puts them at 30 wins. 47 is the chop. Next year, Clemson will have Trevor Lawrence coming back again. Can they roll the table? I don't know. But it's a thing of, are we now looking at the greatest dynasty of all time? That's what, in my mind, is riding against tomorrow's night. Arguably the greatest team of one season versus pushing the greatest team of greatest dynasty of all time. And that's what makes tomorrow night so interesting to me of what we're watching and why I'm going to tune in. As for games to tune into, I'm going to go cliche. I'm going to say national championship tomorrow night, for the love of God. I don't care if you like sports, you don't like sports. We've got two freaking heavy hitters with history on the line.
Yeah.
Going to the national championship. Like,
it's going to be
this
a good
is
game.
It's going to be a stellar one. And that's gonna be that's my thing to watch. Like, if you're not watching it, I don't know, put on fucking Barney or something.
If you're not watching that game, what are you doing here?
Yeah, if
what
you're
are you
listening
doing
to this,
here?
Yeah, if you're listening to our podcast and not watching the college football playoff, fuck off. Okay.
Hey, we could be.
Like,
listen, we'll be friends, but come on, get right.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Come on. So that's kind of, I think, Jim, we closing it out, man. We busted. We planned on doing an hour. We did about an hour and a half.
Yeah, we're about an hour and a half. Which I thought maybe we'd go there because like I said, we ramble. Had multiple squirrels.
We had lots of squirrels. I mean, and it's a lot. Hey, side note. Texas started out 21-0.
Oh yeah.
Texans at this point are down 24-34. Chiefs are winning.
Chiefs coming back from the dead.
Yeah, Chiefs coming back.
Wow.
So there's 6 minutes and 45 seconds.
Keeping track.
I wasn't either. I just popped on onto the ESPN. So everybody that pops in, we plan on doing this every week, Jim. If it's not every week, every other week.
Yeah,
it depends.
Yeah, I think right now we're going to try and go for every week, depending on timing. You know, some of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about, we didn't talk about, like, talking about our, personal biases and who we are, etc. I know a lot of the people that are listening right now probably already know who we are, because that's what we're going to start with.
It's not a hint.
No.
It's not.
But I was thinking, like, it's the new year. It's 2020. We just closed out
new me, Jim.
We just
it's
closed.
A new you. It's a new me.
We just closed out the second decade after the year 2000, which is a lot. We're 20 years past the year 2000, the Y2K bug, which didn't happen. Right? What are your plans? Did you make a resolution? Were you like, no, fuck that, I'm old, I don't care, or did you actually come up with stuff?
I did the usual, pledge to not be fat, and I'm still being fat. So, yeah, no, it's just kind of, for all y'all that don't know and I are listening, that I've got a little chunky son. Adorable and just kind of being healthier. We are looking at getting a hot tub.
Ooh.
Is that a resolution?
Sure, why not? My resolution is to get to Norman and sit in your hot tub.
Exactly, right? So, not really too much stuff, but we're for everybody that's listening, we appreciate you.
Yep.
Me and Jim are probably going to do this about every week. And if you weren't listening, no offense, we'd probably do this shit anyways.
Yeah.
we talk anyways.
We do gotta give a shout out to your wife who came up with this idea, even though I've been thinking about it. But she was like the spark that lit the flames. Like, you guys should do a podcast.
My beautiful wife, she was the one that kind of said, like, "Oh, you and Jimmy talk like every week. Why don't you record that shit?" And I brought it up to you, and that pretty much fueled the fire.
Yeah.
There we go. But I will say, anybody that's listening, we are going to be broadcasting this everywhere. Please pass it out to your friends. Pass it out to your coworkers. We're going to try to hit most of every sport out there. Anybody that's on Twitter, boom_buck. That is going to be our Twitter sphere. We're going to be posting everything and anything there. We'll probably be commenting on games as we go. Thanks for listening, and motherfucker, here we go. Welcome to 2020.
Hell yeah, man. Here's to the dead period, waiting for college football to start.
Yeah. We
got plenty.
I got draft. I got my draft. That's what jam.
Yeah, plenty of stuff to talk about. We'll hit y'all back up. I just said y'all. What the hell was that?
Y'all.
I'm from Ohio, sir. We will hit you guys later on the flippy floppy. Whatever that means.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Later.